Red Lobster's neon sign prints money. Not shrimp, but inside, the real money smells like garlic butter and sizzling shrimp. 55 years ago, a single restaurant in New Orleans dared to redefine American dining. The menu was simple: fresh seafood, generous portions, and a promise of quality. But it was the shrimp that became the star. By the 80s, endless shrimp wasn't just a dish. It was a cultural phenomenon. Families gathered around tables. Plates piled high with shrimp, laughter echoing through the halls. The marketing genius behind it all. A simple promise: eat as much shrimp as you want. It became a rite of passage. The Endless Shrimp Challenge. The empire was built on a promise so good, it became a national obsession. By the 2000s, Red Lobster was everywhere, over 1,000 locations across America. The brand was synonymous with celebration, with indulgence, with the perfect family meal. Then, in 2023, the commercial aired unlimited shrimp for $20. The crowd went wild. The promise was too good to resist. But behind the scenes, the numbers were starting to tell a different story. What began as a marketing masterstroke was about to become the financial undoing of an empire. This wasn't luck. It was a series of choices that would lead to the fall of a legend. 2014, Golden Gate Capital pays $2.1 billion. Red Lobster changes hands instantly. Immediate sale-leaseback. 500 properties sold. Real estate vanishes from balance sheet. $1.5 billion flows to the private equity firm. Cash extracted. Assets gone. Red Lobster becomes a tenant. $200 million annual rent. Fixed. Non-negotiable. Structural shift complete. Asset-rich operator becomes tenant. Zero equity cushion remains. By the way, if you like this discussion, don't forget to subscribe. There are many more interesting topics coming up. Light bulb. Lease terms tighten. Escalating rents. No purchase options. A debt spiral designed. Customers see nothing. Biscuits arrive. Lobster tanks bubble. Balance sheet rots silently. Rent eats cash flow. Operating flexibility evaporates. Every quarter tighter than last. March 2020. Doors lock. Revenue hits absolute zero. Rent clock keeps ticking. Landlord demands payment. $200 million obligation. No revenue. No mercy. Liquidity evaporates. The 2014 trap snaps shut. 6 years later. Perfect timing. Rivals owned real estate. They survived. Red Lobster bled. Asset stripping kills. The real estate trap set. Now 2016. Thai Union arrives. Supply chain capture begins. In 2016, Golden Gate Capital sold Red Lobster to Thai Union. It appeared to be a merger. However, it was actually a takeover disguised as a strategic partnership. Thai Union didn't just buy a restaurant chain. They secured a controlling interest of 25% and immediately took 3 board seats to steer the ship. Suddenly, the largest expense for Red Lobster was owned by its biggest owner. This created a massive structural conflict of interest that poisoned the decision-making process. They demanded an exclusive supply contract. No other shrimp could enter the kitchens. This locked the chain into a single vendor that controlled every single meal. Transfer pricing was used to move money between entities. It was legal, but it kept shrimp prices artificially high for years, effectively draining cash reserves. Volume commitments forced Red Lobster to buy massive quantities regardless of demand. They couldn't switch suppliers even if prices spiked, creating a rigid financial trap. The boardroom dynamic shifted quietly. Thai Union representatives began voting on strategy that prioritized their supply margins over Red Lobster profits, eroding the brand's value. By 2023, global shrimp prices had exploded. A 40% surge squeezed every restaurant chain. But Red Lobster's executives saw an opportunity. They bet on a permanent promotion. A $20 all-you-can-eat shrimp deal. Seemed brilliant. It was financial suicide. The ultimate endless shrimp was no longer a limited-time gimmick. It became a permanent menu fixture. Customers celebrated. Analysts raised eyebrows. The cost per plate was already above $20. The company was pricing on hope, not math. The average customer consumed over $25 of shrimp per visit. Fixed rent and food costs meant every plate lost money. The more customers came, the deeper the hole. Volume became the enemy. Then TikTok discovered the deal. Creators filmed themselves ordering plate after plate. The shrimp hack videos exploded. Traffic jumped 30%. Losses tripled. Social media turned a bad deal into a catastrophe. Traffic surged 30%. Lines wrapped around buildings. But every new customer was a money-losing transaction. The promotion was a magnet for losses. Management watched the numbers spiral. Losses didn't just double. They tripled. A 300% spike in red ink. The promotion was a black hole. Every plate served deepened the crisis. The math was undeniable. In a single quarter, the company bled $11 million. Cash reserves evaporated. Suppliers demanded faster payments. The liquidity crisis hit like a tidal wave. There was no safety net left. Executives scrambled for emergency financing. Debtor-in-possession loans became the only option. Banks demanded collateral, but the real estate was already sold. The company had nothing left to pledge. The sale-leaseback had stripped the company bare. No properties, no equity, just a mountain of rent obligations. Lenders saw the risk. The financing came with brutal terms. Survival was mortgaged. The board faced an impossible choice. File Chapter 11 or run out of cash. The brand was hollowed out. Rent, supply capture, and promotional hubris had done their damage. Bankruptcy was inevitable. On the day of the filing, over 100 locations shuttered. Employees locked the doors. The iconic red sign flickered off. A 55-year legacy ended not with a bang, but a whimper. The brand wasn't killed by competitors. It was hollowed out from within. Financial engineering ignored operational reality. The endless shrimp was just the final nail. The coffin was built years earlier. The collapse offers brutal lessons. Never launch unlimited cost promotions without stress testing margins at extreme volume. If your vendor sits on your board, you have a governance failure. And asset-stripping sale-leasebacks are silent killers. Red Lobster didn't die from competition. It died from financial engineering that ignored operational reality. The endless shrimp was a symptom, not the cause. The true culprit was a decade of decisions. In the heart of America's most trusted seafood chain, a quiet revolution was underway. Red Lobster's boardrooms buzzed with confidence. Until the numbers told a different story. Every decision, from promotions to partnerships, had been made without a single stress test, and that would prove fatal. Lesson 1 begins here. Unlimited promotions are a double-edged sword. Red Lobster's endless shrimp wasn't just a marketing gimmick. It was a financial time bomb. No one ran the numbers for what happens when 100,000 customers demand unlimited shrimp at peak prices. And when shrimp prices surged, the math became a nightmare. The boardroom's blind spot wasn't just about shrimp. It was about volume. No one modeled the scenario where customer traffic would spike by 30%. But that's exactly what happened when TikTok influencers turned endless shrimp into a viral craze. The system was designed for efficiency, not chaos. The financial models were built on assumptions, flawed assumptions. Red Lobster's executives assumed customers would behave rationally, that supply chains would remain stable, and that promotions wouldn't spiral into financial hemorrhages. But assumptions are the enemy of survival. Markets shift overnight. Lesson 2 exposes a governance failure so glaring it's almost laughable. Red Lobster's largest supplier, Thai Union, held a 25% stake in the company. Imagine a restaurant where the person who owns the spice rack also controls the menu and the chef's salary. That's exactly what happened here. The board's silence was deafening. No independent director questioned why Red Lobster's largest cost center was controlled by its largest shareholder. Transfer pricing, volume commitments, and above-market costs. All designed to ensure Thai Union's profits came first. The company's own proxy statements quietly revealed the truth. The board was asleep at the wheel. The third warning sign is a silent killer. One that few notice until it's too late. Red Lobster's real estate strategy was a masterclass in self-sabotage. In 2014, Golden Gate Capital acquired the company and immediately sold off 500 properties through sale-leaseback agreements. The firm walked away with $1.5 billion. But Red Lobster inherited a nightmare. $200 million in annual rent with no equity cushion left. The lease terms were designed to crush. Escalating rents. No purchase options. Red Lobster was locked into a debt spiral. The pandemic hit, and suddenly, the company had zero revenue but fixed rent due. The trap snapped shut. This wasn't a real estate strategy. It was financial suicide by installments. These three warning signs weren't just red flags. They were flashing neon arrows pointing straight to collapse. Unlimited promotions without stress tests, a supplier on the board, and sale-leasebacks that converted flexibility into fixed obligations. Red Lobster didn't fail because of competition. It failed because the financial engineering ignored the operational reality. Now, imagine applying this framework to any company, public or private. Are their unlimited promotions stress-tested? Who sits on the board of their largest suppliers? Are their real estate agreements locking them into debt spirals? These three questions could save you from investing in the next Red Lobster. Red Lobster's story isn't just a cautionary tale. It's a blueprint for disaster. Every company has blind spots. The question is, are you the one who sees them before it's too late? The next collapse might be closer than you think. What's your next move? What is the dark truth behind this event? Share your theory below and watch our next investigation. Hi there! If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Tomorrow's video will reveal this secret. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Shushing face.